Um, Willy Lee's gonna really push that 4 narrative. Okay, I wrote down really push that 4 narrative from Willy. So this may not interest many people, but I'm a big fan of the Enneagram personality definition system. Enneagram, Enneagram. I am a 4 on the Enneagram. My wing is 3. I hesitate to explain it much because it's only going to make people say I'm explaining it wrong. So look up what a 4-wing 3 is on the Enneagram and get your information from the Enneagram Institute or another reliable source. I won't get into detail because I will only be lambasted for being incorrect. But in writing it, I realized that Willy's voice was pushing a negative narrative in Adam's psyche. And it's kind of hard to decide what exactly is he saying. Is he saying you're a piece of shit, I hope you die, I hope you kill yourself, I hope you kill someone else? What is the psychology behind the voice of Willy? And when I read about myself as a 4, and when I read about myself in levels of low health as a 4, and how 4s can be in degradation and in stress, I realized that would be the narrative that Willy was pushing. The most negative thoughts, the most negative ways a 4 can present itself in the Enneagram. And that really helped me find Willy's voice. 4s do have a lot of fear of abandonment. So Willy's always saying they're going to laugh at you, they're going to leave you, they're going to make this movie without you, they're stealing your career, Sunday's going to abandon you, she could never love you. 4s can become really self-hating, and that's Willy's motive. And so locking in on that helped me write the voice of Willy. Because I really found like there were kind of 3 narratives in this feature. There's Adam's story, there's Willy's story, and then there's a character who is not in the short, Erika. There's her story. Okay, and maybe my first draft was just Adam's story. This is something I also realized. I don't know who's asking for this insight. Sometimes I'll write a draft of a feature, and I mean almost only focusing on one character's perspective. And that's an important lesson to learn about myself, that the other characters are there, but they are paper thin. And I guess I always thought as you wrote, you were giving as much time and attention to each character, or you should, and maybe you should, the better you become. But one draft would just be all Adam. Everything with him was fleshed out, because it came easier. And then this character of Erika was just two-dimensional, and I hadn't really snapped inside of her mind. And I think that's maybe because writing Adam, you've got to be in the mindset of a very specific, detached, angry person. And it's hard to then pop out of his head and pop into a much more balanced, sane individual's head. So there's one draft of the script that's just like, all Adam. You don't understand anyone else. You don't know what they want, what they need, what their arc is. And then I did a pass that really focused on Erika. Probably 3 passes that really focused on her. And it really is like I have to, like you're in the cell when you're unplugged from D'Onofrio's mind. You got to like unplug from Adam and then plug into Erika and then write her story. And then the final polish was Willy's stories. What's the escalation of influence that he has over Adam's life, and how is his message becoming more and more clear in Adam's head and more dominant in Adam's head? So I literally just did a pass last week that was like a Willy pass, where I just wrote what I thought Willy was thinking. Okay, we're almost at a 15-minute mark on this IGTV update. Let me maybe pull one little thing from the wall. Okay, you're cracking. I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, is it? Oh, no. Gotta have Ava's and oh, no. Oh my gosh, everybody trusts the process? What? I don't even know what that means. But whatever I say, don't forget to have Willy gradually heighten the comedy. Okay, well, yeah, this is interesting. Don't forget to have Willy heighten the comedy is something I wrote down at some point, because it's a sad, dark movie, and it is ultimately a horror film, but I want it to be funny and absurd and amusing at the same time, and Willy is really the comedic performer of the film. He's on a different page than everybody else. He can add buttons to scenes. He can add context and perspective to a moment that maybe Adam can't, because Adam's in front of the person. So there's this moment where Adam's meeting the producer, Leland. Well, they've known each other for a very long time because Leland produced the original Little Willy film in the 80s. But he's meeting Leland and he shakes his hand and he's playing nice because, I mean, it's just like using voiceover in a film or even, breaking the fourth wall in a TV show. It's what the person's true emotion is. Well, in Adam's case, it's what Willy's emotion is. So he meets Leland and smiles, and then Willy says, this guy smells like cheap cologne and bullshit. I want to rip the smile right off his fucking face. So, now oh, well, Adam doesn't like that guy. Willy definitely doesn't like that guy. Their relationship is tumultuous. And Leland might be a problem. Or maybe not. Maybe Adam's imagining the problem. Hey, that's Halloween 3 blinking in the background. Let me do one more because that one was a little... Why don't I just talk about what I want to talk about? Okay? Why don't I just talk about what I want to talk about? Which is... I want to talk about Erika because she's the biggest addition to the film from short to feature and also the most important. In writing the feature, I wanted to write a slasher origin story. I wanted to take the last 20 minutes of Scream or any other slasher film where the slasher explains their motive in a monologue, and I wanted to unpack that into a narrative. So, don't you see, Sydney? I did this because of this and because of that. I want to see that movie. So, it's kind of a prequel, in a sense, to a slasher film that may or may not come in the future. But you really live with Adam and you discover what it takes to knock him down to this place where he's willing to give in to bad intentions and act on them. But I don't want it to just be his story. That first pass where it was really Adam heavy wasn't as fulfilling, and you feel a little bit abandoned. You feel like maybe there's not proper support when it comes to the foundation of the narrative. So I always wanted him to have a proper nemesis, a protagonist, and that's Erika. And I think what was fun about writing her is that I could attempt to, this is hard to explain. If Adam is this is the other thing I wanted to do with the feature. Unpack the 20-minute monologue that a slasher usually gives at the end of a film and make that the primary narrative. But I also wanted to give birth to a modern slasher through a modern cultural lens, meaning he's not this hulking, supernatural, machete-wielding brute. He's an emotionally unstable, stunted, entitled man-child that uses his kind of performative emotional weakness to manipulate people around him and the environment around him to ultimately get his way. That may not sound very exciting as a slasher, but it is. I think it is. Especially because it yields a complex emotional slasher and then demands a complex emotional nemesis. And that's Erika. And it was fun to figure out, all right, well, if Adam is all of these things and has all of these layers of bullshit around him, who is it, what does Erika need to be the proper hero against his villain? She needs to be able to cut through bullshit. She needs to be able to see through his kind of performative weakness that always yields sympathy from people. She needs to be able to see his aggression and feel threatened by it and recognize it for what it is. And she, most importantly, needs to be able to act on her instinct. So she's a big addition to the feature, and I'm really excited about the character, and I'm especially excited about, I think, creating a slasher and I hesitate to use the term final girl because that's not really the structure of this film. There's no final girl. She is his opponent and he is hers. And I really am excited by kind of creating a modern pairing like that. Slasher, subgenre, but through the modern cultural lens. Erika versus Adam Castle. Anyway, What a 20-minute long update, and it's getting darker and darker in here, moodier and moodier in here. Okay, go to littlewillyfilm.com. I hope you enjoy. I'll keep talking about the feature. I'm happy with the draft, by the way. Let me know if you know anyone that wants to give me $500,000 to make it. So go to littlewillyfilm.com and watch the new clip, buy a poster, support the film. Thank you for all the support so far, and have a wonderful Friday.